The phone call changed everything. I was standing in my workshop at 6:47 p.m. on a Tuesday when my buddy Jake from downtown construction called with news that made my blood run cold. "Mike, you need to hear this. That fancy company your boy Daniel runs, word is they're moving serious money around and it ain't all clean." I set down the chisel I'd been sharpening and walked to the window. Outside, November rain was turning the Ohio streets dark and slick. What kind of money? The kind that makes people disappear when they ask too many questions. That conversation lasted maybe 3 minutes. But by the time I hung up, I knew my son was in deeper trouble than either of us had imagined. What I didn't know was that the truth was about to walk through my workshop door in the form of a homeless teenager who looked exactly like Daniel at that age. My name is Michael Barnes. I'm 58 years old, and for the past 15 years, I've been running Barnes Woodworking in this little Ohio town where everybody knows everybody's business. After my wife Sarah passed 5 years ago, and my son cut me out of his life, this workshop became my whole world. Workbenches covered in hand tools, lumber stacked to the ceiling, the smell of wood stain, and honest sweat. It's where I go to make sense of things that don't make sense, like why a 32-year-old man would choose money over family. Daniel had walked out 15 years ago when he was 17, right after I refused to sell this place to fund his college startup dreams. "Dad, this is the future," he'd said, waving around business plans I couldn't understand. "Your little wood shop is the past." I told him some things matter more than the future. He told me I was a fool who'd rather play with sawdust than help his own son succeed. That was the last real conversation we'd had until 3 weeks ago, when everything started unraveling. It was a Thursday afternoon when she first knocked on my door. 3 sharp raps, businesslike, cutting through the whine of my table saw. I shut off the machine and wiped sawdust from my hands, expecting Ruby from the bakery next door, or maybe another neighbor complaining about the noise. Instead, I found a skinny kid standing in the doorway with rain dripping from her dark hair. She couldn't have been more than 17, wearing torn sneakers and a jacket too thin for November weather. A busted backpack hung from one shoulder by a safety pin where the strap had ripped. But it wasn't how she looked that stopped me cold. It was her face, those stubborn blue eyes, the way she held her chin up, even while shivering, the little scar by her left eyebrow. She looked so much like Daniel at that age that, for a second, I thought I was seeing ghosts. "Sir," she said, voice shaking from cold, "do you need any help around here? I can do anything. Clean, organize, carry stuff. I'm a hard worker." I stood there staring, trying to process what I was seeing. "What's your name?" "Lily Foster," she said quickly. Too quickly, like she'd practiced it. Foster, not Barnes, but those eyes didn't lie. "How old are you, Lily?" 17. The math hit me like a sledgehammer. Daniel had walked out of my life 15 years ago. If this girl was 17 and she looked exactly like my son, "Come inside before you freeze to death," I said. She followed me into the warm workshop, moving carefully like someone who'd learned not to break things because she couldn't afford to replace them. I watched her look around at the workbenches, the lumber stacks, the half-finished oak cabinets I'd been building for the Miller family. "This is beautiful," she said, running her fingers along the smooth edge of a table I'd been working on. "My mom always said there was something honest about working with wood." "Your mom?" Her face changed. "She died last spring. Cancer." Something in the way she said it made my chest tight. "I'm sorry." "What was her name?" "Sage Williams." Sage Williams. The name hit me like ice water. I'd heard Daniel mention that name years ago, back when he was still talking to me. A girl from college, someone he'd been serious about before everything went sideways. "When did you last eat?" I asked. She hesitated. "Yesterday morning." I didn't say another word. Just walked to the office in the back and grabbed the ham sandwich and thermos of coffee I'd brought for lunch. Set them in front of her on the workbench and told her to eat. She tried to refuse, but hunger won out. The way she ate, careful but desperate, like she was afraid the food might disappear, told me everything I needed to know about how long she'd been on her own. "Where are you staying?" I asked while she worked on that sandwich. "With a friend," she said. Another lie, but I let it slide for now. I've been around long enough to know when someone's sleeping rough. The way she kept glancing at the door, the careful way she held herself, the fact that she was asking strangers for work. This kid was homeless. "Lily," I said, pulling up a stool across. From her, I spent 25 years in construction before I opened this shop. I've heard every story there is. If you want work, I need the truth. That's when she broke. The whole story came pouring out between bites of sandwich. How her mother, Sage, had been diagnosed with cancer 2 years ago. How they'd burned through their savings, paying for treatments that didn't work. How after Sage died, the landlord gave Lily 2 weeks to get out. How her aunt took her in for a while, but couldn't afford another mouth to feed. How she'd been bouncing between bus stations and the back room of an all-night diner for the past 3 months. The diner owner, Mrs. Patterson, lets me sit by the kitchen heaters after closing, she said. As long as I don't bother customers, she pretends not to see me. I wanted to ask about her father, but something in her expression warned me off. Instead, I gave her some simple work, organizing hardware, and watched her for the rest of the afternoon. She was careful with everything, read every label twice, treated my tools like they mattered. When she found an old photo of Daniel and me that had fallen behind a workbench, she stopped and stared at it for a long time. "That your son?" she asked. "Was," I said. "We don't talk anymore." She studied the picture longer. Daniel at 20, standing next to me outside the workshop with wood shavings in his hair and a grin that could light up a room. Before business school, before the startup dreams, before he decided his old man wasn't worth his time. "He looks familiar," she said quietly. My heart started pounding, but I kept my voice steady. Familiar? How? I don't know, just familiar. That evening, after she'd helped me close up the shop, I offered her the couch in my office for the night, just until she figured out her next move. She was so grateful she almost cried, which told me how many doors had been slammed in this kid's face. I lay awake most of that night, staring at the ceiling and doing math. Lily was 17. Daniel had been 17 when he left. If he'd gotten a girl pregnant around that time, and never told me. The next morning, I started making some calls. I started with Tommy Rodriguez, who'd done electrical work for half the businesses in town. If anyone knew what was happening at Barnes Digital Solutions, it would be Tommy. "Mike, you sure you want to know this?" he asked when I called him Friday morning. "Your boy's gotten himself mixed up with some serious people." "What kind of serious?" "The kind that move money around in ways the IRS wouldn't appreciate." Daniel's got this CFO, Vincent Torres, who runs everything behind the scenes. Word is, Torres has connections to some shell companies downtown. I hung up feeling sick. Over the next few days, I made more calls. Construction guys hear everything. Which companies are struggling, which ones are flush with cash, who's cutting corners, and who's playing it straight. What I heard about my son's company painted a picture I didn't like. Meanwhile, Lily had been helping me in the shop for a week, and I was getting to know her. She was smart, careful with tools, and had a way with the customers who stopped by. Mrs. Patterson from the diner came in looking for someone to fix her kitchen table, and Lily charmed her into ordering a whole new dining set. "That girl's got a gift," Ruby from the bakery told me. "Reminds me of someone, but I can't place who." I knew exactly who she reminded me of. Daniel at that age had the same quick smile, the same way of making people feel like they mattered. But where Daniel had used those gifts to chase money and status, Lily seemed to genuinely care about helping people. It was Wednesday afternoon when I found the letter. Lily was reorganizing some old files in the office when a folded piece of paper fell out of a notebook she'd been carrying. She didn't notice, but I did. The paper was worn soft from being handled too many times. On the outside, in careful handwriting, it said, "For Lily, the truth." I shouldn't have read it. But when you're a grandfather trying to piece together 17 years of missing family, privacy takes a back seat to necessity. The letter was from Sage Williams, written in a hospital bed 3 days before she died. It laid out everything, how she and Daniel had been together in college, how she'd gotten pregnant and told him right away, how he'd promised to marry her and be a father to their child, how everything changed when Vincent Torres got involved. Vincent told Daniel that having a baby would ruin his business prospects, the letter said. He convinced Daniel that the smart thing was to distance himself from the situation. He said he'd handle everything, make sure I was taken care of financially, arrange things so Daniel could focus on his company without distractions. My hands shook as I read the rest. How Vincent had made Sage sign papers giving up any claim to child support in exchange for a one-time payment. How that payment never came. How Vincent had told Daniel that Sage didn't want him involved, while telling Sage that Daniel wanted nothing to do with her or the baby. Vincent Torres destroyed our family, the letter concluded. If anything happens to me, and Lily needs help, she should find Daniel's father. Michael Barnes might be the only honest person left in that family. I sat there in my office holding that letter, feeling like I'd been gut-punched. My son hadn't just abandoned his daughter. He'd been manipulated into it by someone who saw a pregnant girlfriend as a business liability. But that didn't excuse 17 years of not checking up, not asking questions, not caring enough to find out the truth. When Lily came back from moving lumber, I handed her the letter. "You dropped this." She took it and her face went pale. "You read it." I did. "And now I need to ask you something, and I want a straight answer. Is Daniel your father?" She sat down hard on a paint bucket, clutching the letter. For a minute, she just stared at the floor. Then she nodded. "My mom made me promise never to contact him directly. She said it would only cause more pain for everyone. But when she was dying, she told me if I ever got desperate enough, I should find you." "Why me?" "Because she said you were the only one who might still remember what family was supposed to mean." That hit me harder than anything else she could have said. "Why didn't you tell me who you were when you first got here?" "Because I was scared you'd throw me out. Mom said you and Daniel didn't talk anymore. I thought maybe you hated him so much you'd hate me too." I looked at this brave kid who'd been living on the streets for months, too proud to beg and too scared to trust, and something broke open in my chest. "Lily, I could never hate you, but we need to talk about your father." "What's to talk about? He didn't want me then. He doesn't want me now. What if he never knew you needed him? What if Vincent Torres has been lying to everyone for 17 years? She looked up at me with Daniel's eyes, full of hurt and hope in equal measure. "You think there's a chance?" "I think," I said carefully, "that it's time to find out exactly what Vincent Torres has been up to, and I think I know just the person to help us do it." The next morning, I called my lawyer, Noah Sullivan. Noah and I had gone to high school together, and he'd handled Sarah's estate when she passed. More importantly, he specialized in financial fraud cases. "Mike, what you're describing sounds like a pattern of deliberate deception," he said after I laid out what I knew. "If this Torres character has been intercepting payments meant for child support, that's criminal fraud. If he's been using your son's company to facilitate it, that's wire fraud and money laundering. What do we need to prove it? Documentation, bank records, communication between Torres and your son, anything that shows a paper trail." I looked across my workshop at Lily, who was teaching herself to use the belt sander with the same careful attention she brought to everything. "How do we get that kind of evidence?" Noah was quiet for a moment. "That's going to be the tricky part. Torres isn't going to just hand over incriminating documents. We'd need someone on the inside, or we'd need to catch him in the act of doing something illegal." That's when I got an idea. A risky idea, but maybe the only one that would work. "Noah, what if we could get Torres to admit what he's been doing? On tape? That would certainly be admissible evidence. But Mike, be very careful. If this guy is as dangerous as you think, you don't want to tip him off before you're ready." After I hung up, I sat in my workshop and planned. Vincent Torres had spent 17 years manipulating my family. It was time someone turned the tables on him. The plan was simple but risky. I'd call Daniel and tell him I wanted to talk about selling the workshop, that I'd been thinking about his old offer and maybe it was time to consider it. Vincent Torres would smell money and want to be involved in any deal. When he showed up, I'd get him talking about the past, about how he'd helped Daniel with his family problems. What Vincent didn't know was that I'd be recording every word. It took 3 days to set up. I called Daniel on a Tuesday, kept my voice neutral and businesslike. "Son, I've been doing some thinking about what you said years ago, about selling this place." The surprise in his voice was obvious. "Dad, what brought this on? I'm getting older. This place is more work than one man can handle." I hated lying to him, but I needed Vincent to believe this was legitimate. "Maybe you were right about the future being somewhere else." "I'd need to talk to my business partner," Daniel said carefully. "Vincent handles all our investment decisions now." "Perfect. Why don't you both come by Saturday afternoon? We can look at the books, talk numbers." Saturday couldn't come fast enough. Lily and I spent Friday setting up. Noah had lent me a professional recording device, tiny enough to hide under the workbench, but sensitive enough to pick up conversation from across the room. We tested it a dozen times. You sure about this? Lily asked. She'd been nervous all week, jumping every time the phone rang. I'm sure. Your mother deserves justice. You deserve the truth. And Daniel deserves to know what kind of snake he's been trusting. Saturday afternoon, a black BMW pulled up outside the workshop. I watched through the window as Daniel got out of the driver's side, looking older but still carrying himself with that confident swagger he'd developed in business school. The passenger door opened and Vincent Torres stepped out. Torres was everything I'd expected, and worse. Expensive suit, perfect haircut, the kind of smile that never reached the eyes. He carried a leather briefcase like it was a weapon and walked like he owned whatever ground he stepped on. They came into the workshop. Together, Daniel looking uncomfortable, Torres scanning everything like he was already calculating resale values. "Dad," Daniel said, awkward as a teenager, "this is Vincent Torres, my CFO. Vincent, this is my father, Michael Barnes." Torres extended his hand with that practiced smile. "Mr. Barnes, I've heard so much about you over the years. Daniel speaks of you often." I shook his hand and looked him in the eye. "Funny, he's never mentioned you to me." A flicker of something crossed Torres's face, but the smile stayed in place. "Well, we've been business partners for over a decade now. I like to think I've helped guide Daniel through some challenging decisions." "What kind of challenging decisions?" Daniel shifted uncomfortably. "Dad, maybe we should focus on the workshop. Vincent's time is valuable." "Oh, I'm very interested in Mr. Torres's time," I said, "especially how he spent the last 17 years. Torres's eyes sharpened. "I'm not sure I follow." "Sure you do. You follow exactly." I walked to the workbench where the recorder was hidden. "See, Vincent, I've been having some interesting conversations lately with people who remember things, like how you used to brag about keeping Daniel's personal life clean for the investors." "Dad, what are you talking about?" Daniel looked genuinely confused. "I'm talking about Lily Foster," I said, watching Torres's face. "Ring any bells, Vincent?" Torres went very still. "I think there might be some confusion here." "No confusion at all. Lily's been staying here for the past 2 weeks, 17 years old, homeless since her mother died. Mother's name was Sage Williams. You remember Sage, don't you, Vincent?" Daniel's face went white. "Sage? What does Sage have to do with anything?" Torres stepped forward. "Mr. Barnes, I think you're misunderstanding some very old and complicated situations. The only thing complicated," I said, "was the web of lies you spun to keep a father away from his daughter." "What daughter?" Daniel's voice cracked. Torres shot him a warning look, but I was done playing games. "Lily, come on out here!" The office door opened and Lily stepped into the workshop. She'd been hiding back there the whole time, waiting for this moment. Daniel took one look at her and staggered backward like he'd been hit by a truck. "Oh my God," he whispered. "She looks exactly like you at that age," I finished. "Daniel, meet your daughter." The silence that followed could have been cut with a saw blade. Daniel stared at Lily, his mouth working but no sound coming out. Lily stood frozen by the office door, 17 years of hurt and hope written across her face. Torres recovered first. "This is obviously a very emotional situation, but we shouldn't jump to conclusions based on resemblance alone." "You're right," I said. "We should base it on facts, like the letter Sage Williams left for her daughter, explaining exactly how you manipulated both her and Daniel, like the bank records showing payments that were supposed to go to child support but never arrived, like the forged documents you used to convince Daniel that Sage didn't want him involved." Torres's mask was slipping now. "You're making serious accusations without proof." "Am I?" I pulled out Sage's letter and handed it to Daniel. "Read it, all of it." Daniel's hands shook as he unfolded the paper. I watched his face change as he read, watched 17 years of carefully constructed lies crumble in real time. When he finished, he looked up at Torres with something close to murder in his eyes. "You told me she didn't want the money. You told me she wanted me to stay away." Torres spread his hands. "Daniel, you were young, focused on building something important. A teenage pregnancy would have destroyed your credibility with investors. I protected your interests. By stealing from a child?" Lily's voice was steady, but her hands were clenched into fists. "By letting my mother die thinking my father didn't care about us? I never stole anything," Torres said, but his voice was getting defensive. "Every transaction was properly documented." "Show us the documentation," I said. Torres looked trapped. Those records are confidential company files. Not anymore, Daniel said quietly. Vincent, open your briefcase. Show us exactly where that money went. And that's when Vincent Torres made the mistake that brought his whole house of cards crashing down. Torres refused to open the briefcase. Instead, he tried to bluff his way out. This is ridiculous, he said, backing toward the door. Daniel, we're leaving. This old man is obviously trying to manipulate you with some elaborate scam. Open the briefcase, Vincent. Daniel's voice was deadly quiet. I don't have to prove anything to anyone. Those records are privileged. That's when I played my ace. Then maybe you can explain this to the police. I pulled out my phone and hit a number I'd programmed earlier. Noah? We're ready for that conversation we discussed. Torres went pale. You're bluffing. Try me. 10 minutes later, Noah Sullivan walked into my workshop with 2 detectives from the county fraud unit. Turns out Noah had been building a case against Torres for months, ever since another client had complained about missing investment funds. My evidence was just the final piece of the puzzle. Mr. Torres, Detective Martinez said, we have a warrant to examine your business records, specifically any transactions involving child support payments over the past 17 years. Torres tried to run, made it about 10 feet before Daniel tackled him right into my lumber rack. Boards went everywhere, but Torres wasn't going anywhere. They found everything in his briefcase: fake bank statements, forged documents with Sage's signature, wire transfer records showing payments going into accounts Torres controlled. The man had been running a systematic scheme for years, skimming money from Daniel's company and covering it up by creating fake expenses and phony legal fees. The receipt, $85,000 Daniel thought he'd sent to Lily and Sage, Torres had diverted every penny into his own accounts. As they led Torres away in handcuffs, he was still trying to justify himself. I was protecting the company, he shouted. That girl would have destroyed everything we built. The only thing you destroyed, I called after him, was a family. After the police left, the 3 of us stood in my workshop surrounded by scattered lumber and broken dreams. Daniel looked like he'd aged 10 years and 10 minutes. Lily stood by the workbench, still holding her mother's letter, still trying to process 17 years of lies. I'm sorry, Daniel said finally, his voice barely above a whisper. Lily, I'm so sorry. I thought... Vincent told me your mother didn't want anything to do with me. He said she'd made it clear she never wanted to see me again. She never stopped loving you, Lily said quietly. Even when she was dying, she kept your picture. She told me you were a good man who'd just gotten lost. Daniel started crying then. Not the careful, controlled emotion of a businessman, but the raw grief of a father who'd missed 17 years of his daughter's life. I should have checked. I should have found you myself. I should have been there when she got sick. You can't change the past, I said, but you can change what happens next. That was 8 months ago. Torres got 7 years for fraud, embezzlement, and tax evasion. Daniel's company barely survived the scandal, but he rebuilt it from the ground up, this time with honest books and transparent practices. Lily lives upstairs now, in the apartment I fixed up above the workshop. She's back in school and helps me with customers after classes. Turns out, she's got her father's head for business and her grandfather's eye for quality. The combination works. Daniel comes by most weekends, learning woodworking and learning how to be a father. It's not easy. You can't rebuild trust overnight, but we're working on it. Last month, we finished a dining room table together, the 3 of us. Lily designed it, Daniel helped with the measurements, and I taught them both how to get the joints just right. This is going to last forever, Lily said, running her hand along the smooth oak surface. That's the point, I told her. Good craftsmanship endures. So do families, when they're built right. Some evenings, when the workshop is closed and we're all sitting around that table sharing dinner, I think about how different things could have been. If Lily hadn't knocked on my door that November afternoon, if I hadn't asked the right questions, if I'd let pride keep me from fighting for the truth. Family isn't just about blood. It's about who shows up when things get hard, who tells the truth when lies would be easier, who chooses love over money, even when it costs everything. Vincent Torres thought he could buy and sell human relationships like they were commodities. He thought loyalty and love were just obstacles to profit. He was wrong about that, and a lot of other things. My name is Michael Barnes. I'm 58 years old, and I've learned that the most important things in life can't be bought sold, or stolen. They can only be earned through honesty, protected through courage, and passed down through generations. 3 sharp knocks on a workshop door. That's all it took to bring my family back together. Best sound I ever heard. Ruby from the bakery was right. Lily did remind her of someone. She reminded her of all of us, of the best parts of the Barnes family that Torres had tried to destroy. But some things are stronger than lies, more durable than greed, like love, like family, like the truth. And like good oak properly joined, they last forever. Sometimes the greatest victories aren't about winning, they're about refusing to let the wrong people define what your family is worth. Trust is like good wood joinery. It takes patience to build right, but when you do, it holds strong against any storm that tries to tear it apart.